We've got audio. Now let's go with the video. There we go. Perfect. Perfect. The flowers are excellent here. Let's place them here. Let's place Eddie a little bit over this way. A little place for you right there, Eddie. Perfect. The flowers are precious. And let us begin. Shabbat Shalom, my most esteemed friends, honorable judges, LVE tribe, as well as everyone else accompanying us. On this so precious, radiant, cold day of Shabbat from California, the US of A, today being the 15th of Adar, it's on its way out, the year 5993. We have very few days left, 2 weeks and a little bit more, corresponding to the 15th of March of the year 2025, and we shall study yet another subject of the Spirit of the Feasts, part 23. We have had this week some days that rained, and almost all the week it was cold, like if it was the worst part of the winter, and we're on its way out, so winter is saying goodbye in the coldest way possible. At least in thermal sensation, we were colder than any other day in winter. It was actually cold. And today, at least the sun came out. They say that the temperature will go up a bit, and then once again, we're going to have rain this week. We missed out the eclipse. It's not that we are so desperate to watch it. I've told you that we're sick and tired of looking at eclipses and looking for them and then saying this means this and that. Directly, we didn't even look at it here. It was Thursday night. It was raining. Yeah. We would have gone out to look for it. Don't doubt it. But it was completely covered, the sky, and it was raining, so we did not see the eclipse. Some of you sent me pictures. They are precious. Many thanks. I imagine that some of you did see it. Aside from those that gave me the pictures, it was an eclipse. That was a total eclipse, and the moon could be seen very much red. It is very interesting. So then we've lost that. We missed it because it was raining. Without any further ado, let us begin with a word of prayer. Our Father, that art in heaven, we give you thanks for this precious day of Shabbat. We give you thanks for life. We give you thanks because you have opened your book for us to understand certain things that are covered to the eyes of the rest. We ask you that soon we may be able to arrive at all the promises and obtain them that you have left in your book, and that time may seem short, that it actually be a time of waiting that we can, that is short and it's bearable. We thank you in your precious name, Yahweh Sabaoth. Hallelujah. Yahweh has blessed with one more year of life the following members of the Eternal Truth: Ofelia Santiago, Mexico; Elida Maybeli de la Cruz, Guatemala; Jorge Eliezer Díaz Quintero, Colombia; Aaron Antonio Bardo Rodriguez, Nicaragua; Rosa Maria Soto Murillo, Costa Rica; Baltasar Anselmo Tsoy Lux, the US of A; Denis Moreno Samayoa, Costa Rica; and Sara Valentina Pedrosa Medina, Colombia. To each and every one of you, a great big hug, and we wish you that it is your very last one or one of your last birthdays under the government of Babylon. And I'll also send one last greeting to the following people that I think are MIA. It's been a time that they are MIA, rather, and they have not voted for Yom Kippur, and they are Adrian Ocharruc, Argentina; Dacier Hernandez, the Dominican Republic; Leandro Ortega, Ecuador. To each and every one of you, either way, we send you a great big hug. If you're listening to us, you can write to us. Other way, we greet you either way. So then, these are the birthday greetings. I'd like to remind you, as always, that if you have a problem that you're going through, some sort of reflex in your body of things that have taken place in your life and you don't know how to resolve them, we've got a free consult, which is Angelina's consult, of which you have the description below this video to each and every one of you that needs it and wishes it to have that consult call. It's free for the eternal truth, as well as for those that are not of the eternal truth, but that understand that there is more in knowing why the physical causes of what we go through happen. I don't want to use the exact words so they don't block this video, but there is a reason that is not familiar or genetic, but rather it's conflicts, and the conflicts can be solved. And if you're even more, if you're in time to solve them very well. As I've already told you, the month of Adar is on its way out, along with the year 5993. Today is the 15th. Next Shabbat will be the 22nd. The Shabbat after that will be the 29th. 2 more Shabbats, and the year ends, and we pass on to the year 5994. Incredible how time flies. I don't know about you, but at least me, the week goes very fast flying, and when I least expect it, I don't even notice it's already Shabbat once again. I don't know why. Maybe some of you have a different experience, an experience that is rather, that time does not fly so much, but me, it flies. The week flies absolutely by, and I think, Leslie, also the week flies absolutely by. We can't believe that it's already a Shabbat. What a beautiful sharpener that you gave me, Christian. It's spectacular. Excellent. To tell the truth, excellent. It's better than the one that I had bought. Very well. Shema Israel, YHWH Eloheinu, YHWH Ekhad. Hear, O Israel. Yahweh, our Elohim, Yahweh is one alone. It's not two, it's not three, it's one sole person. This makes it so that all the doctrines that are based in the Bible and have had their own religion or church fall on their own account, by their own weight, because they all believe that there are 3 people, and in some cases they believe that there are 2 people. And in some extreme cases, very few, they believe that it's only one person, but that sole person is the only Jesus, the Christ that will come and look for them, so then we're always in the same situation, 3, 2, or 1. They place all their hopes in that one. In churches like only Jesus, they believe that only person is their Savior, it is their Christ, their Messiah that will come to look for them or rapture them or all something like that, and that person will be their God and Savior, and that person will be will make a new earth, and that person was the one that died 2,000 years ago. So it doesn't matter if they believe in 2, 3, or 1. They are wrong because they do not understand that the Messiah is not God, the Creator, that the Messiah is not the one that died in the cross 2,000 years ago. So then, it doesn't matter what they believe. They have misunderstood the scriptures. And why? Because in Proverbs 25:2 it says, "It is the glory of Elohim to conceal the word. Yet the glory of the king is to discover the word." So then, if the word is concealed, there's only one group of people that the Bible calls kings that can understand the word. The rest cannot understand it. Whether we like this or not, whether we think that it's contrary, whether we think it's wrong, right, it doesn't matter. The Creator is saying that it's like any rule of the game. The rules of the games, you have to follow them, and they are like this. So then he made the rules by saying, I will conceal a message, and those that I consider to be kings will understand it. The rest will make an effort to understand it, but they won't understand it. Because in the difference that to understand and to accept, there's a very huge difference. Many people can understand what I'm saying, but they cannot accept it. I can understand any doctrine. I can understand the Adventist doctrine. I understand it perfectly well. But, I understand it perfectly well. I don't accept it. I can understand the Catholic doctrine. I can understand many things. But I do not accept them. I understand them. Many do explain them. I do understand why they believe such a thing, but my mind says that is wrong. I do not accept it. So then, we can also accept things that we do not understand. Many times people accept without understanding anything, and they accept everything. Is that good? Well, in some point, maybe it works. I do not understand how this computer works inside. I understand certain things, but not everything. But I'm going to say I won't understand how it processes the information, all the technology that there is here. I could not do it. It is years of investigation, of experience that others have left and others have taken and have taught, and things which are encrypted and things that are private of the companies that make a product work. I don't understand how it works, but I accept it, and I accept it and I use it. I accept it and use it. Also, I don't understand many things of car mechanics, although I consider myself to be a good mechanic. There are many things that I don't understand. But I'm not going to be crazy and undo a whole transmission because it goes way past of what I know how to do. Many things that I cannot just undo in the car. Many other things that I could put apart. Other things that I don't understand, but I accept them. A whole bunch of you don't understand how the houses are made, or the electricity, or the system, or things like that, but you accept it. So it's different things. What I speak about, it's easy to understand. Anybody could understand it. Because they can, if the AI can understand me perfectly well, it's easy to understand. I'm not saying things that are complicated here, that are contradictory. No. All I'm saying is that there's only one God. Everyone can understand that. Not to accept, because I don't expect that not even you accept it. I want you to understand at least. My job is that you understand my words. Now that you accept it is your job. Anyone can understand my words. There's only one God. What's this crazy saying? There's only one God. Okay. That God was the one that came 2,000 years ago. He never sent any son. He has no son to send. Divine one, that is. Easy to understand. No, when he came here, he lied because he wasn't either the Son of God or anything. He was the only God that exists. And he played a role. He played a role, a huge role. Huge role. It was a huge role. A huge role. So I'm the Messiah, I'm the Son of God. It's a lie. He wasn't neither the Messiah or the Son of God. He was God concealed, as the Bible is concealed. The people could not see what there was in him, in his interior. He would not allow them to see. He would show a cover. And to top it off, he would lie. It was not the truth. That is why the disciples said, we want to see the Father, and it's enough. He that has seen the Father has seen me, has seen the Father, he said. He was just giving hints to those who could understand. How are you asking me? I've been with you all this time. You don't notice? No, they couldn't notice. He would not allow for them to notice. So then, I would say, he that came was the only God creator. He came in concealed. He came blind. He came posing. He came playing a role, following many functions. One, because the creator had to die, because he wanted to experience death, because he wanted to do it that way. And also, he showed a figure for the Messiah that was to capture, which the Messiah would capture that figure, and he would understand. Not the rest. Not the rest. The rest would eat up the cover of all that, along with his disciples and all the rest. So then, we're still in this easy to understand what I'm saying. There is no celestial Messiah coming from heaven. No, none. The Messiah is a group of human beings, or to make it even easier, a human being born in this humanity, being born in the last phase, and that the Creator makes him a Messiah. Period. That's it. It's very simple. Can people understand? Who's going to understand what I just said? Of course they can understand it. I'm not saying anything in Chinese or Hebrew complicated. It's very simple. There's no Jesus that can come and look for you from heaven. You can pray to Jesus. He does not exist that Jesus does. Who can understand that? Easy. Now, not that they accept it. That is a different story. They can say this guy is crazy. He's a blasphemer. He's a fake. He's a false prophet. I mean, false and anything else. Fill in the blank. It makes the Bible to say things that don't say it. It's very clear to say that Jesus was the Son of God because God so loved the world. He sent his only begotten Son that whosoever believeth on him not be lost but have eternal life. So then what about that text? And they're going to come to your mind to a whole bunch of texts that I could explain. And you'll understand my explanation, but you're also not going to accept. So then what is the difference between accepting, understanding, and not being able to accept? The difference being that the Creator dictates that, period. The Creator dictates that. That is why the text says, it is the glory of Elohim to conceal the word, yet glory of the King is to discover the word. I could not say anything more than that. It is what it is. That is why, as the Messiah said, blessed is he that understandeth what I say, blessed is he that hath ears to hear. And how can I do it? To have ears if I was not born with the ears. If you weren't born with ears, you will not have ears. Because that's precisely a privilege to have been born, not to understand, but to accept. The ear to accept. In fact, the disciples, he told them, and why do you conceal everything, all things unto the Pharisees, the most holy people, those that know all of the scripture by memory, practically. They know all the laws. How do you conceal it from them? And he says, well, I conceal it from them because I don't want them to see. Since I don't want them to see, the Creator says, I conceal it from them. So that hearing, they understand not. I'll translate. They could understand because they would speak the same language, but they will not accept. And seeing, they won't see. So that I don't forgive their sins and have to accept them, so then I'll conceal everything better. It's very simple to understand. Difficult to be in the position of the Pharisees. It is very difficult. They did not have a chance. They did not have a chance. Poor Pharisees. We in Christianity taught me what people that were so hard-headed, and well, that was because God had hardened their hearts. Like Pharaoh. I cannot go against Pharaoh. Pharaoh would decide to let the people go, and God would come, and the scripture says something which those that read it don't see it. They don't see it. And God would harden Pharaoh's heart. They can read it. It is so difficult to accept it that they prefer not to accept it. They prefer to say, no. Yahweh did not want to harden Pharaoh's heart. It's just that Pharaoh, because of his wickedness, he would harden himself. They make the Bible say things that are completely contrary. What it clearly says, that Yahweh would harden their hearts. It is very clear. Just like Judas' treason, who helped him to treason him? Yahweh himself, in the form of the Messiah, told him, go, do what you must. No. You got to do it. You got to do it. And when he saw that he wasn't going to do it, it says Satan entered in his heart. That Satan, you can understand my words, it'll be difficult to accept it, was the very same person that was sitting there eating with them or dining with them. The very same person. That Satan was that very same being who was Yahweh, creator, and was Satan. He was everything that being was, because no being exists that it's a Satan that's individual. No, it is the very same creator that fills the contrary. It's part of his game. It's a contrary function. It's very easy to understand, very difficult to accept. But the whole world, at the end, in front of the Messiah, will say, Yahweh, my strength, and that Yahweh, as I've already told you in the last subjects, Do not change Yahweh into thinking Yahweh the Creator. Yahweh means I am that I am. So whoever the Messiah is, I can directly open this text and it says, and they'll say, God or Messiah, however you want to see it, or the group that is ruling, my strength and my fortress, my refuge in the day of tribulation. Unto thee shall come the peoples from the ends of the earth, and shall say, from the ends of the earth. And why are they going to come to that Yahweh that is not Yahweh the Creator? Because Yahweh the Creator gives unto his human son all the governments of the earth unto the ends of the earth. How many times do we have to read it in Psalms 2 that it says, ask of me and I shall give thee all the earth, the governments, the nations unto the ends of the earth. So then the ends of the earth, very same expression, come towards the person who's the new owner, the new God, the new Yahweh. Yahweh, my strength and my fortress, my refuge in the day of tribulation. Unto thee shall come the peoples from the ends of the earth, and shall say, only lies was the inheritance of our fathers, vanity to which there is no avail. If it is man that makes himself gods, and they're not gods. That is why, behold, I shall make it be known. Stand to them this time, I shall show them the strength of mine arm, and they shall know that my name is Yahweh. My name is Yahweh. My name is I am that I am. And I am that I am is the owner of this earth, is who I am, because the Creator gave it to me, so then I am that I am for you. It's all in camouflage, which of course, it's literally impossible. If you don't have a special ear to accept this, you can listen to it, you can comprehend what the other is saying, but to accept it, no. So in order to accept this, that Yahweh is not Yahweh, that Jesus is not the one that died 2,000 years ago, that Jesus means salvation, that it's the salvation of the world, that he's the Messiah, that he's not the Messiah that you always worshipped and prayed to, that is difficult. Very difficult. Very well. Directly, let us go to Malachi 2:17. No, I'll go ahead and read it. I was going to skip it, but no. It says, Yahweh the Creator does, unto all human beings. Ye have wearied Yahweh, that Yahweh is Yahweh the Creator, and I'll read it as Creator. Ye have wearied the Creator with your words. And you say, and what have we wearied him? And that you said that whomever doth evil pleaseth Yahweh, because that was the constant, that he that does evil pleases Yahweh. That's the way it is, or else this world would not have worked. And in such he delighteth. Or else, where is the Elohim of justice? Does an Elohim of justice exist? Because the Elohim of justice is God of justice. Where is the God of justice? Does he exist? Yahweh says, I am not the God of justice, mind you. It's not me. It is clear what you say. I prosper those who are evil. That is why the evil are the ones who rule, and they have ruled in different times during these 6,000 years. That is clear. If I were to not bless them, they would not have done anything. So then evidently, the Elohim of justice is not I, nor can I exercise that role because I've already exercised another role per se in creation. Who is the Elohim of justice? There is where he starts to answer that, yes, I will send an Elohim of justice. The Elohim of justice is the Messiah. He's saying it. He does bear the title of Elohim of justice. Now we change the text, and we'll study this later. Ezekiel 33:14 through 15, Jerusalem 2001 says. How many times have we read this? How many times have we read this? And we have, I don't know why, logically so, but illogically so. We used to understand what the text said explicitly, that Yahweh would say, he that is wicked, he shall die, and he that is good shall live. That is false. Because how many good people have died? All the good people have died. Does it have any advantage? Does this world have any advantage Or does it stretch the life of those that are good? No, evidently not. It stretches the life of those that are evil. It stretches the life, not all the evil people, but if we make a general consensus, then the evil and the most evil that have the most money, not just common evil person, not the common that's a delinquent, the common delinquent, no, not that one. We're talking about an evil, wicked person by ingenuity, not an evil. We have the idiots that are evil and the good, smart, evil people. Those are the ones that rules. And those are the ones that live the most. The good suffer many things. They suffer injustices. They suffer not being able to turn things around, and they die young. Like it says, well, like Iron Maiden's song, when it says only the good die young, the evil apparently live forever. It would be apparent, it says. Not that they do. There are some good people that live a long time, I understand. But I'm talking about an average. I'm talking about an average that is general. It would seem that those that are evil, it says bad plants never die. It's a popular concept that it says that bad weeds never die. We see it in nature. We plant a good tree and we have to take care of it. Just by out of anything, it dies. Now, an evil, invasive weed grows on its own. Even if you don't pluck it up, it just will go into the house, invades everything. And with just a little rain, they flourish all over the place. You're like, what's going on? My whole front is that now I have this whole job. And Brian, also to take all this garbage out. There's certain things that grow, I don't know, in a month, they're higher than I am. They're taller than me. And the little trees, they're the same as last year. Many died because since they were good ones, they were eaten. But they don't eat the bad ones. They eat the good ones. And I get so, why don't you eat the roots of all these bad weeds? No, not those. No. They say, I like the good ones. The one that costs you $200, that's the one I'll eat. So then that is what also happens in us. It is the same. The wicked with bad intentions, they crush those that are good. You're never going to see that a good person crushes an evil one. So, good thing the good crush the evil people. No, where does it exist? In movies, maybe. So then based on what I've just said, let us read this text. And I say unto the wicked, ye shall die, and he draweth away from his sin and practices right and justice if he gives back what he stole. And he observes the precepts that give life and stops committing injustice, he shall live. Certainly he shall not die. That is fulfilled. No, it's not fulfilled. It's not fulfilled. Absolutely, it is not fulfilled. The more just you are, this world crushes you the most. You have to do a certain amount of injustice to be in par with the world at some point in time. And if you want to guide the world, you have to be unjust, because you're going to go into a group of people that already have the power before you, and maybe you didn't even find out about this until you got to a certain power and you got to be mayor, and now you see that a whole bunch of people will come and say, hey, this works this way. You're going to receive this commission, and we're going to do all these types of buildings. But what would seem that was by just something clean, it's not. Just take your cut. And if you say, no, I don't want this, well, they either kill you or they say, you cannot serve. That if you get to be like a mayor, if you get to be a deputy, forget it, a president, you're going to have such a mafia, and how they call it here in the U.S., the deep state that you don't see, that no one sees, but will manipulate you as if you were a marionette, because they were in the power before you. They retain power, and you can do just a little bit. Like Cristina once said, Kirchner, one of the presidents of Argentina, disaster, but well, forget about it. She said she was no longer president. They asked her in the radio, Cristina, how much power does the president have? She's like, very, very little, like 20%. Those who direct, those that have money up there, but only at 20%. And I reduce it to that, the 20%. They can't. Why? Because it's a mafia. So then, the just cannot guide directly. They cannot. If you're righteous, you cannot direct. Very well. So then, we shall study this text. What is it trying to say? Who's the one speaking? How is it that God dares to say, God the Creator, mind you, how does He dare to say such a lie that is so great of making us believe that the sins that supposedly are the transgressions to the commandments, His, when He says commandments, it's not all 10, but all of them, the 613 that the Jews say that exist. So then if I draw away from my translation, from my transgression to the law, and I start to act right according to the Torah, not the right one, and justice according to the Torah, if I give back what I stole and I give restitution and I observe the precepts that give life, and the interpretation is always the precepts that are written in the Torah, all this, an Adventist will say, those are the 10 Commandments. Take it however way you want. The 10 Commandments, the Torah entirely. Here it doesn't say 10 Commandments, it says the entire Torah. But I'm speaking to an Adventist. The 10 Commandments that your prophet said that they were, okay, it's talking about supposedly the 10 Commandments. So then if you observe the 10 Commandments that give life and stops committing injustice, he shall live. Let me ask you, did Ellen G. White live? No, she died. Did all the Adventist pioneers live? No, they all died. So then my logical conclusion is that no one followed the commandments. She was such a lying bitch that nobody kept those. But she died, and they all died. And so even the most Jew, the most holy Jew dies. They all die. So then what is it? Is the Creator talking about in order to say that if you repent and you don't steal and you don't commit injustice, you don't die? That's a lie. That's a lie. Or he's saying something else. Evidently, he's saying about something. He's talking about something else. It is not what we believed. What we believed goes against human nature because they all die. Or else it makes God a liar. But I mean, even about the commandments, because He promises if you're evil and you steal and you give back what you stole, you will not die. And they all die either way. So then what happens here? What is happening is that in John 6:63 it says, the Spirit is the one that quickeneth. It is not the obedience to the law or the Torah. It is not what Yahweh says. Not even Yahweh gives life. And I'm speaking about life so as to not die. The Spirit is the one that giveth life. The flesh availeth nothing. The words which I have spoken unto you, the words that I have spoken unto you, who's speaking? The Messiah is speaking. Yahweh is speaking, but under the form, the customization of a Messiah. What he is explaining is that the words of the Messiah, their spirit and their life. Nothing else. There's nothing else that gives life. There's no Torah, there's no Yahweh, there's nothing. The words that the Messiah speaks, they are the ones that give life, and nothing else in this world gives life. Not obedience to the law, not disobedience to the law, nor obedience to Yahweh, nor nothing else other than the words that the Messiah speaks give life. There's no other life anywhere else in this existence, because that is how the Creator dictated. If we're going to play a game, notice what the rules are. The rules say that how you obtain life to continue to play in the words of this. So then you can try to look life elsewhere. You won't find it, because life comes only from the words of the Messiah. Not even from the actions of the Messiah, but from the words of the Messiah. The words which I have spoken to you, they are spirit, and they are life. This, I'm not going to read it today because you know this by memory, but I'm going to skip it today. John 3:3-12. When the Messiah speaks with an expert of the law, that he tells him, you have to be born again, no matter how much of an expert you are, or that you know the law by memory, or that you can recite all the commandments. It doesn't matter that you follow them. I could care less. You have to be born again. Who's telling him? The Messiah is to a religious person. The religious person is going to say, but I was born in this. I was dedicated to God. I am circumcised. I observe. And he was actually good, Nicodemus was. We're not speaking about a hypocrite. He was a guy that believed in the law, and it's a guy that would try to follow everything to follow the law, the sacrifices and all the rest. And the Messiah tells him, it is no good what you do, nor what you have done. You have to be born again. What do you mean? How can a man, being already old, be born again? You have to learn everything again. You have to learn everything again because you're observing to the commandments, everything that you've done, it is no good. It is good to be born of the Spirit. And the Spirit says, Messiah says, it is I. Did Nicodemus understand this? Very difficult that he had understood this. Very difficult. Maybe he understood just a little tiny bit, but a lot more than that, no. Let us go to a text that we've read many times, but it will be understood clearly with what I've just told you. And I hope that you can hear me. With last Shabbat, I noticed, I looked over at the video a little bit, and yes, it would distort a bit. And I don't like that at all, for it to distort. I prefer for it to be lower, a bit lower like today, but you can higher your own volume. Of course, if it's in a volume, maybe it doesn't go up too much, but put it in something that you can put more volume and it will not distort. But if I put the volume up here, I would feel a distortion. The sound is distorted and I didn't like it. So then I hope you can hear me well. Let's see if you can hear me well. But we're going to read a text. If I find it here. And then later we're going to go back. They hear me perfectly well. Okay. Hold on. I can't find it, but I will find it. I had not planned to read it. But with what I've just said, you will understand it even better. Here it is. Mark chapter 9, 2 to 8. It's a text that we've read many times. But every time we read it, it is understood in a way that is a bit more fresher per se. We can gain the prophet of the Bible, as my mom told me once. It's a book that is absolutely alive. Every time you read it, it would seem that it gives you such a freshness, something that you've never seen before. It says as follows, Mark 9, 2 to 8. 6 days afterwards, the Mashiach, it says Jesus, but Jesus, his mind all immediately goes to the figure of that Jesus, that historical one, of which you see the figures that you've seen your whole entire life about Jesus, or in the cross, or praying. That Jesus is a representation of the Messiah. So then, this that takes place here, no one understands. Almost no one, just as simple as that. We do understand it. I've explained it many times, and now we're going to explain it again. 6 days afterwards, the Messiah took Peter, Jacob, and John, and he took them aside alone to a high mountain, and he transfigured himself. He changed this figure. The whole Christian world, non-Jew, of course, because this is not for the Jews, it doesn't exist in the Christian world. They know the transfiguration by memory, and they interpret it in different ways. Some interpret, like they taught me, that they saw the second coming of Jesus. With such a stupidity, without head or tails, just nothing, reason of living. But they taught me that in the transfiguration, they saw Jesus in glory coming in the clouds, and that's how they stayed. And some they stretch it a little bit more and says that he had Elijah and Moses. That represents that he has the law and the prophets on his side. So that they try to interpret this, but when they understand Yahweh had erroneously, but they don't understand that the Messiah is not a God from ancient times. So then, of course, they're going to misunderstand it. It is evident. and it is clear, and I accept that they understand that there's no other turn of the page. That is how I would understand it when I would see it with them. He transfigured himself, he changed this figure in front of them. So then what would seem to be wasn't, it changed. There was a transformation in the Messiah. And his garments turned completely bright white. It's symbology. White means justice, purity. It's not that Messiah is going to have white robes. That's a complete stupidity. But in this representation as a symbol, it's the Messiah is righteous and is pure and is righteous per se. White as snow, so much that no washer in the land could make him so white. So then they thought it was extraordinary. And Elijah appeared unto them with Moses that spoke with the Messiah, with Jesus. I've always told you how strange that these three characters, Peter, Jacob, and John, could identify both Elijah and Moses that they never saw in their life. They had died hundreds of years prior. There was no figure, there was no pictures, there were no drawings. So then how did they know that it was Moses? How did they know how Moses looked? How did they know how Elijah looked? Even less known than Moses. Moses at least was with the Israelites 40 years in the desert and died, but Elijah was not very well known, okay? It's not that the whole people would listen to Elijah. No, on occasion that the people saw him, but not any more than that. He was a darker project. He was always alone. He was just around. It's not that he would go and preach. Elijah didn't teach anything, mind you. Don't imagine a prophet that had his gathering place and would teach. No, none whatsoever. Absolutely none whatsoever. Just a caveman, like a very few. And so then, how were they able to identify them? How did they know that it was Elijah and not Elisha? Elijah or not Ezekiel or Jeremiah or any of those? How do they know? Or David? I mean, what do I know? How did they know? The thing is that it doesn't matter how they knew. The thing is that the teaching here in their mind, the Messiah that was represented, that was Yahweh, placed in their mind something, and it made it up in their mind that the three, without doubting, said, without doubting, mind you, because it says he seemed like if it was Elijah. No. It says, and Elijah with Moses with such certainty. Where did they get that certainty? The three. That Yahweh placed that concept in them. The three saw Elijah and Moses. They had never seen him in their life, but in their mind it's shown this is Elijah and this is Moses. Why? Because the story is a figure so that the Messiah understands it. It is a figure, simply a figure. But they had to identify what they could not have identified in any other way unless Yahweh would have written in their mind, oh, this is Elijah and this is Moses automatically. And Elijah with Moses appeared into them that spoke with the Messiah. So then this figure that we care about is that we have the Messiah and we have Elijah and Moses that speak unto him. Notice the term. Notice that the Messiah, it's not that the Messiah is speaking with them, but that they speak to him per se. It says that they spoke with Yeshua, with Jesus, with the Messiah. So then what does this mean? It is very clear. It is very clear. Not just by chance, but the reality of the symbol that Moses represent all of the law. Not just that, but history. Moses was the one that wrote, according to this, all the story about creation, and not just the history of creation, but rather he wrote the laws by which up until today the religious world, go by. The ones that Moses wrote, some by but just by all of them, by a few, but it was written by Moses. So then Moses represents the story of creation and the law that he speaks unto the Messiah. On the other side, we have Elijah. Elijah represents all of the prophets because it's a prophet that is very representative. So then Elijah is represented every one of the prophets. So then we have the law and the prophets speaking unto the Messiah. What does this symbol mean? I'll read on. And it says, and Elijah appeared with Moses that spoke with the Mashiach. So then Peter said unto the Mashiach, Good Master, it is good that we are here. Let us do 3 tents. Why would they do that? Evidently, it is because they were in the time of Sukkot. And so since we have all 3 here, Elijah, Moses, and you, we'll make 3 tents, 1 for each of you. And just anything, just outside of the focus, but that is what Peter came up with. 1 for you, 1 for Moses, and another one for Elijah. You see how he's not even doubting who they are. Because he knew not what he spoke of. That's right. He never knew there or ever, Peter. He would just speak just because he wanted to. And that is the story of these disciples. Not because I'm saying it, but the scripture says it. Because Peter didn't know what he spoke of. Because they were scared. They were horrified with what they were seeing. Then a cloud came that made a shadow. And from the cloud, a voice that said, this is the punchline of the story. We have the Messiah, we have the law, and we have the prophets. Those who hear, who are the religious people, try to retain all 3. He wants to make them a place in order for, and he names it as follows in this order. So then Peter said unto the Messiah, Master, it is good that we're here. Let us do 3 tents, 1 for you. It says we want all 3, the religious ones. We want the figure of the Messiah. We want the figure of Moses. And we want the figure of the prophets. Because for us, it's all 3 are important. It is the Messiah is so important for us. Just like the law for us. Just like all of the teaching of the Tanakh, which are the prophets for us, that teaching is what we want. All 3. We want to keep all 3. We want the Messiah, we want the Torah, and we want the Tanakh, or the entire Bible. That is what we want. And the answer of the Creator is absolutely contrary to that. I want you to notice those details. Because those details, if you don't notice them, then this story is worthless. With the Messiah alone, all of a sudden they see the Messiah glorified, and they see Moses and Elijah, who is precisely the law and the prophets. And the disciples don't have any other idea because they have no idea what they spoke of, like all the Christians. Like it represents the Christians don't know what they speak. They don't know what they're talking about. Peter represents all the Christians. In this case, they don't know what they speak of. The Christians don't. I don't even know why they have churches. They don't know. So then they say, we have everything entirely. The Bible, we have the Bible. We have Jesus. We have Moses, and we have the prophets. That is how all the Christians will tell you. The Adventists will say, we have the law, we have Jesus, and we also have the prophets. The Christians, the non-Adventists, will say, we have the law as history, we have Jesus, and we have the prophets, like the apocalypse. The apocalypse for them is the highest level of prophecy. We have Matthew 24 and all the rest of the prophecies that they have. About that the world comes to an end, that it all be destroyed. The same Peter that doesn't know what he speaks of, he says, it all be destroyed by fire, all be consumed, and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. Okay. So then, Peter, by the mouth of all the religious people, say, we want to give place to all 3, because to me they're all the same, both the law and as the Messiah, as the prophets. But the answer of the Creator is, then there came a cloud that put a shadow over them, and from the cloud a voice that said, this is my beloved Son. Him listen to. That breaks away with every religious concept. It is the only one that understands this is the eternal truth, Because I've just explained to you that in the prophets and in the law there's no life. The Spirit is the one that giveth life. The flesh availeth nothing. My words, they are spirit and they are life. There's no life in the law, not in the Bible. There's nothing. So then Yahweh, the answer of Yahweh to all the religious beings, says, you know what? You're not going to have either a law. The law does not exist anymore. The prophets do not exist anymore. The only one that I want you to listen to is my son. Him ye listen to. That is the answer. I don't want you to listen to the law. I don't want you to listen to the prophets. Listen to my son. He's the only one that has life. It is so clear. The punchline of the story. Then there came a cloud that made a cloud over them. And from the cloud a voice that said, this is my son. This is my son. This is my son. This is the Messiah. This is my son. To whom I give all the nations. This is my son that will be the owner of the world and of you. No more law. Don't look anything in the law. There's nothing. It's out of here. It disappears. The vision disappears. You saw how they had Moses here. Don't look at him anymore. The Messiah is alone without Moses. Moses doesn't pitch or catch here. The rest of the prophets, not them either. None of them. None of them. They're out of here. I want you to focus only in the figure of my son. This is the transfiguration that every Christian and every Jew will have to accept. Every Jew will have to throw away the Torah. Just like that, kick it. They love it now. They have to cut it. They have to kick it. It no longer exists. It will not have life. There's no life there. There wasn't ever any life there. And the Christians will have to throw away all of their novel that they made, the romantic stories of a Jesus in heaven that died for them, that in the cross, that they prayed to their whole life doesn't exist. He has to disappear from their vision. Now in their vision, they've got a Messiah, like also the Jews. They've got the law, and they've got the prophets. Those three things. Those three things is not salvation. Salvation only is in the Messiah and nothing else. What does the owner, creator of this world say? Then there came a cloud that made a shadow over them, and from the cloud a voice that said, this is my beloved son. Him ye hear, no one else. Listen to him. And then, when they saw, they didn't see anyone else there with him, but rather the Messiah alone. Oh, it couldn't be any more clear. It has to disappear from the vision of every religious person, whether they're Jew or Christian. It has to disappear. Their legality and laws, their prophets have to disappear. Once the Messiah appears, that disappears. That is why, at that point in time, that they will understand it, Yahweh says, they will no longer, I've given everything to my son. My son is the only one. Listen to him if you want to, or else there's no life. It is very clear. I mean, it's very clear. What else could I add about this if you already understood it absolutely well? The rest we're willing to build. We want to make a temple for the Torah, a temple for the prophets. There's nothing. They no longer exist. They're no good. They don't even have a special reward. Nothing. 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 The scripture no longer exists to give way to the Messiah and only unto the Messiah. I'm not saying it. The Creator says it. And he doesn't only say it here. I've showed it here in every single place. Absolutely. In every place it says that. Once you start to look. Those that heard me, a Christian, could they understand what I've just said? Of course they can understand it. Now, can they accept it? Well, it depends on him. It's difficult. It's you've understood it. Do you accept it? Depends on them. It only focuses on the figure of the Messiah. Everything else disappears. They show you what will happen. You're going to see him only. Very well. Now, let us go. Speaking about the Bostero moment, the Boca fan moment, can you give me that little portrait? Brian, can you bring it? Can you bring me that little portrait from the bathroom? Don't say what it says. Just bring it to me. It's hanging there next to the door, just a little second before initiating to this subject. Tomorrow we play at 2:15 here in California. Yeah, that one. Bring it to me and don't let anyone see it. There it is. Thank you. Thank you. Tomorrow we play at 2:15 in California time. Whom do we play against, by the way? Whom do we play against? Anyone knows whom do we play against? When nobody knows here, whom do we play against? Let me tell you. A little second. I'm sure they're going to say before this loads. Whom are we playing against? I forgot. With Defensa y Justicia as a visitor, right? Come on, load. Let's see tomorrow. Oh, River plays today. They're about to begin. What? Why is it so slow? Come on, please, go. Oh, we play as local. Oh, of course, because we won as a visitor. Yeah, that's true. As a local, we play at home. Well, this doesn't want to work either way, so then... What a fourth class are these averages? What's happening with this website that doesn't want to load? It doesn't want to work today, the averages. Okay, fine. Okay, it's not going to work. Yeah, we're playing the Bombonera. Okay. So then tomorrow at 2:15 California time, 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, at 6:15 Argentinian time, you can make adjustments in your own times. And if I'm not wrong, River's about to... Oh, it started! Oh, it started already, the River game. I wanted to see it. I hope they lose these chickens. Okay, well, that's the way it is. Yeah, we play with Defensa y Justicia in the Bombonera. And wow, tomorrow before that, there's a classic. It says the classic of Avellaneda Independiente against Racing. A classic that's brutal, mind you. I mean, it's enough to not miss out on it. They play precisely before at 12. At 12 our time they play, and after that they have 15 minutes later the Boca game. So then Independiente and Racing are going to kill each other, mind you, and they play in the Independiente field. They're all there, right there, like 2 blocks away. It's that Clásico of Avellaneda. Anyway, when Brian was born back in the year 2003, we were visited by my parents, my dad, who was an Adventist pastor, and my mom. And also, they came and they dedicated the Adventist church to Brian. They all went forward, right? And my dad grabbed Brian. He had already done it with Angelina when Angelina was born. Did it with Angelina, right? Oh, both of them together, right? With Angelina, he came the year before I was born. Okay, 2 years before that. Okay, he presented both of them, both Angelina and Brian, presented them both in the Adventist Church of Loma Linda. But that has nothing to do with the fact. I'm just telling you that was the visit twice over. My parents came here to the U.S. And so then they took advantage, knowing how much of a fan I was. And my mom, I think my mom, brought us a little portrait to give us. And also, you see, since the children were young, aside from something about the clothing for Boca for the babies, aside from all that, brought us a portrait that it's been 22 years that it's been hanging there in the bathroom. And I love it, I love it, I love it. Every time I see it, it makes me so happy. This is the one. Yeah, it's not Brian, in case somebody's asking, because brought it to me from Argentina. It is not Brian. It is not Brian. And it says as follows. To be a Boca fan makes me so happy. I mean, very cute, very cute, very cute. I love it. To be a Boca fan makes me so happy. To be a Boca fan since I was little. It'd be great if it was Brian's picture there, but of course they imprinted it that way. To be a Boca fan makes me so happy, and it has here everything in the Boca cap and accessories and everything, and a Boca shirt behind, the jersey or whatever you want to call it, the Boca one, whatever that is. It seems to be a jersey, and it's always been there ever since Brian was born. From the year 2003, this portrait has been hanging there in the bathroom. You've always seen it. Oh yeah, you saw it. The children. Oh, And then it was passed on to the bathroom, right? In the bathroom, yes. So then if you like it, I think there's better ones, but if you like it, I'll ask Leslie to take a picture of it and to publish it. Maybe you can print it if you want to, and then you can have it somewhere in your house. It says, being a Boca fan makes me so happy. It's so great. Being a Boca fan makes me so happy. Where do we place it? We'll place it, let's see, right here. Well, no, it's going to cover everything. To be a Boca fan makes me so happy. I hope it doesn't fall off. To be a Boca fan makes me so happy. I know well. And even more if we win, right? I'll repeat it again. Gago should not be the coach. The mistake that was made that'll hurt us this whole year of not playing in the Libertadores, it cannot be fixed. One made that mistake, you have to leave everything. Thanks for everything. Gago, here's what we owe you. Many thanks. Go and play with the Chivas or whatever, but we don't want you here anymore. So then thanks for everything. You have failed. Do we forgive you? Yes, of course. But since we don't want to hate you, we say for you to go look for a different club, and we're going to look for a different... They're not going to change to me for Gago to win everything now. It doesn't change a thing. The game they had to win, they didn't win it. Right there, that's it, it's over. Thank you for everything. Oh, thanks for nothing, and bye. And we look for another one. I mean, just anyone. I mean, Ron, who's the coach of, what is it? Of the lowest category, him, as a reserve. Let him coach, and then we look for another one. If it's no good, then we kick him out also, and that's it, it's over. Doesn't change my idea. No matter if we start to win 5 more games, it doesn't change my idea. Gago should be out. I don't like the way that he plays. I don't like it, because not even he is happy. Because he is playing, he's winning with a formation that he doesn't like to have. That is why I don't want him there. Forcefully, I don't know if Kelvin came and told them, or because of the insults of the public, he's playing with 4-4-2. But as soon as he can, because this is how these fuckers do, he's going to do 3-4-3 or 3-3-4 or whatever. He's going to do whatever. And I don't like that. I don't like that because he has such an idea that I don't like. So then, that now he has to do it because it works. It doesn't mean that the guy has changed. The guy has not changed. And saying, oh yeah, that's right. This guy, because of the story that this team has, it works that way. No. He has to play in his style, and he starts to change the players. You're going to see it once again. You'll see that everything will hit the fan again. But a while. And I hope that we win tomorrow. Just like that, tomorrow we win against Defensa and Justicia. That's the way it is. Beautiful name that they have, but I don't know if it's such a Defensa and Justicia that I don't know. Defensa and defense and justice is what it means tomorrow. Justice and all. So then, oh well. Now we start with today's subject, and I hope that the chickens lose. I always want them to lose. Today and always, forever and ever. For them to lose. For them to lose in everything that they do, for them to lose in anything that they do. That's the way it is. Anyway, where were we? There it is. Very well. We go to directly today, because I'm already about to leave you. We had a question come in. We had a question come in that they asked me some videos back about a person whose name is Daniel Santillan 4000, that he left in a comment. I can't remember if some, like 3 subjects or 4 subjects ago, it doesn't matter. It's somewhere or other that says, could you explain Ezekiel 33:9? So then, not just will I explain Ezekiel 33:9, if you're listening to me, I'll explain the whole chapter. How about that? In order to understand Ezekiel 33:9, I have to explain everything. So then, let us go to Ezekiel 33, which starts as follows. And the word of Yahweh came to me, saying, Son of man, speak unto the people of thy people and tell them, when I bring the sword upon the land, it is very clear who brings the sword upon the land. War is the sword. It can also be applied as death, but the biblical symbol of war is sword. It is not very difficult. When I were to bring the sword upon the land, he says, hold on, who brings it? Satan brings it? The malice of men does? Ambition of men? No. Who does it? The Creator, who utilizes men. It is so clear. It's not that all of a sudden some little angels appear fighting. No, no. He utilizes men to do war. So then who generates the war? I'm not saying it. He says it. When I were to bring the sword upon the land, and it doesn't say, my most esteemed Christian, when I allow the war, when the men in their wickedness want to conquer other lands, and I were to bring, when Putin wants to invade Ukraine, when the world wants to invade Germany, or for Germany to invade part of the world, when Saddam Hussein wants to invade Kuwait and the U.S. wants to invade Kuwait and also Iraq. No, it doesn't say that. It doesn't say that. It says, when I, the originator of every war that has ever existed. No, he's going to say, yes, it's just most of them, but not others, no. One chicken for so many hens, I blame him completely. Not because I'm saying it, but because he says it. And if he says that wasn't me, then you're going to pay for it either way. Because you're the originator. Of course. You said 1, 2, 3 wars that you made up, and then you say, okay, that's fine, that about the war. With war, I generate the industry of weapons, and I generate money because it makes a whole place, and then I offer to rebuild the place, and since they don't have money, I'll give them the money in the company, and they owe me forever. Oh, that'd be great, right? That'd be great. I'm going to destroy all of my neighborhood, and then say, oh, you want to rebuild? Okay. I'll give you money to top it off of a company that'll build it, and they just owe me. They're just going to owe me forever. Oh, that'd be great. What a good business. So then this is war, no more than that. There's nothing more than that. It is precisely an economical empire, and that, even more, if we add that we spend on weapons and we have to make more weapons and the people see that they work, and then they say, oh, you want weapons that we dropped here, you see how they were effective, we sell them. We'll send you the planes, missiles, everything. We'll sell everything because it's all a business. But who made it up? Yahweh did. When I bring the sword upon a land, and if the people of the land take a man of their coasts and set him for the watchman, okay, we always speaking about that if he wants to do war, and all of a sudden one of the people, whichever he might be, says you're going to be on watch. You're going to be on watch of an invasion. If Yahweh wants to invade us using men, you have to be on watch. If there's an invasion, you have to let us know. Play the trumpet or the bell or whatever, yell at us. And he were to see the sword come upon the land, in other words, the war that draweth nigh, he blow the trumpet and warn the people. Then whosoever heareth the sound of the trumpet and taketh not warning, and the sword come and take him away, his blood shall be upon his own head. So then, it is very easy to understand. It says if I send war, and you choose a person that is a watchman, and the watchman, when he sees that the war is coming, and he lets everyone know, and so then those that want to escape, they can escape. Those that want to be prepared, they can prepare themselves, but don't let them be caught like that. If they have to die because they couldn't care to prepare themselves, that is their problem. But you, the watchman, did a good job. You let them know. And if they do what they do, it is no longer your problem. You have to let them know only. That is the story up until now. The sound of the trumpet he heard, it's talking about the one that died, and he did not get ready. His blood shall be upon himself, yet he that were to listen to it, he shall save his life. But if the watchman were to see the sword come and blow not the trumpet, and the people be not warned, if the sword come and take any person from among them, he is taken away in his iniquity. But his blood will I require at the watchman's hand. Okay. It says, if you choose a watchman and the watchman doesn't do his job, he sees the sword coming, it doesn't let anyone know, or he was or sleeping, doesn't matter. And there comes the war or death or whatever, and there's dead people. Those that are dead, they're not gonna die. They all die for their own sin. That Yahweh says that, okay? Yahweh says, not I. Everyone will die because of their own cause. That is what he says, not I. I'll read it again. It says, and he shall hurt some of them. He was taken because of his own sin. Notice, not because of the sin of the watchman. But, he says he was taken because of his own sin. But, I will claim his blood from the hand of the watchman. Why? Because the watchman had the mission of warning. Very well. The whole world, and they taught me, have applied this to the pastors. Who are the watchmen, the pastors? So then, the pastors, that is why they feel that need of playing the trumpet and letting everyone know, of warning you that you're a sinner, that the war that Yahweh sends is the devil, that the world is filled with wickedness. So then, if he doesn't warn you that you're a sinner and you're going directly to hell, he's not doing his job. And so then he's going to pay for the consequences. How many pastors have you heard them say, and I included, I gave you the warning, now the blood is on your own account. Your own blood is upon your own head. You cannot blame me. I let you know. I let you know that if you don't keep the Sabbath, you would go directly to hell. I let you know. If you were not to accept this doctrine, this and that, and you get lost, I let you know. And in the most basic of the cases, if you don't accept Jesus as your personal Savior, you will be lost. I let you know. Your blood is not upon me. It is yours now. I am the watchman that God placed to let you know about that. The whole world takes it like that. And the truth is that all the biblical watchmen are bad watchmen, because they all let me know, falsely so, they all let me know that there's a Satan, they all let me know, and concealed enough in the possibility of not understanding the thing. The greatest watchman that exists is Yahweh. He came and says he was the Son of God. He lied to my face. He would pray to the Father. When he was doing such a theatrical act, so great that they eat that up until today, thinking it's the truth, those who read the Bible, and the Christians. A level of magnificent acting that they can't even discover that he's acting. So then there was no watchman ever in the Bible. There wasn't ever any watchman in the Bible that has my respect, just like that is worth anything. Those there didn't help at all. Not at all. Absolutely nothing. So then what is this text about? This text is about things that are more common. Things which are a lot more common. For example, the watchman's duty, if he knows something that will really save your life, tell me. For example, it cost us for them to take the YouTube channel away when we started to speak about Germanic medicine. They eliminated our channel, not when we started to speak, but when all of the pandemonium that came, it left with the channel and everything. Why? Because of forewarning that what was going on did not exist, that nothing existed in the air. It was a lie that you had to stay at home to protect yourselves, that it was a lie that using gloves or washing your hands or using a mask, you would protect yourself from anything that didn't exist. And we tried to protect you from the lie. We let you know there's nothing, it's a lie. The enemies are they.
te van a
watch the
aterrorizar
news, they're
y
going
lo
to
peor que
terrify
puedes
you.
hacer en tu
And the worst
naturaleza es
thing
que
that you
tengas
can
miedo.
do,
Si
that
tienes
your
miedo,
nature
olvídate
is
que
that
tu
you're
cuerpo
afraid. If
reacciona
you're
muy mal al miedo, así
fearful,
muy mal al miedo.
forget it. Your
Cuando una
body
persona
reacts
sufre
to
miedo,
fear
aunque
very
sea algo
badly,
que
very
no
badly.
existe,
When a person is afraid,
imaginario, sufre
even
las
if it's something that
consecuencias.
does not exist,
Entonces, tener
they
la
suffer the
televisión prendida
consequences. And
y
to
ver
have
lo
the
que
TV on
pasaba
to see what
y
was
que
going
el
on,
ministro de
and
salud
that the
decía
minister
esto, y
of
el
health was saying
presidente
this,
al
and the
lado, y que
president next to
viene,
him,
y que
and
tenemos
it's
estos
coming, and we
casos,
have these
y que
cases,
murieron tanto, y
and
que
that so many people have
los
died,
hornos
and that
y
the
que los hornos
ovens
no
and
paran
the
de
ovens
largar humo,
weren't
y en China vemos
stopping.
que
And
caían
in
como,
China,
no
we
sé,
saw
cosas
that there were
raras, los chinos
things,
le agarraron
weird
un
things were
efecto
falling.
raro, y venían los
And
videos,
we saw the
y después en las
videos,
noticias,
and
hay
then in the
tantos
news,
celulares
there's
en
so
China
many cell
que
phones in China
dejaron de
that
trabajar y
no
nadie
longer
sabe por
work,
qué.
and no
Porque
one
el
knows
gobierno
why.
está
Oh, because
ocultando
the
los
government is
millones que
hiding the
ya no
millions
están con
that are no
nosotros.
longer with us. And
Una serie de
a
noticias
series of
que si vos te
news
metías
that
en
if you
esas
were to go into
noticias
those news,
te iba a afectar de una
it would
forma u
affect you in
otra.
such a
Entonces
way.
nosotros dijimos, no mires
So then
nada,
we say,
no
don't
creas
watch
nada,
anything, don't
manda
believe in
todo a
anything.
cagar
Just
así,
tell them
mira otra
everything
cosa,
to
mira
fuck off.
Netflix,
Just watch
otra
something on
serie,
Netflix, something else.
puedes mirar, hacer cualquier
You can
cosa,
watch
pero no
anything
mires
else.
noticias
Don't watch the
porque
news because
te va a
it's
enfermar las
going to
noticias.
sicken you. The
Te van
news
a
are. They're
enfermar,
going to
que los
sicken
tanques
you.
están por tu casa
That the
porque el
tanks are
gobierno
by your
mandó
house
a que
because the
te va a
government
marcar
called them that they're going to
obligatoriamente. Y uno
mark
dice,
you
no, yo no
obligatorily. And you
quiero,
say, no,
no
I don't
quiero,
want to. I don't
eso
want
te va a
to.
enfermar.
And that would get you
Entonces,
sick. So then,
la gente estaba
the people
pendiente, ¿qué
were
pasaba? ¿Y qué
pending what was
pasaba?
going
¿Y
to
ahora
happen,
qué
what's going to
dicen?
happen,
¿Cuál
and now
es
what do
el
they say?
último boletín?
And
¿Y
what
ahora
is the
qué?
last one? Now what?
Justamente,
Precisely,
nosotros te prevenimos de
we
eso.
prevented you from
Quizás
that.
vos hiciste tu trabajo de
Maybe
atalaya
you
previniendo
did
a otros.
your job preventing
En
others.
realidad, la
Actually, the one to blame is not be upon you. These things are applied in certain measures, in certain things, but it is not the work of the religious people. Because there was no religious person that forewarned anything. Every time a prophet opened their mouth was to lie. Every time a disciple opened their mouth, it was to create a false religion. And it was no good. So then what is applied here are in circumstances just like this, like an introduction. Unto thee, Son of Man, I shall place you as a watchman of the house of Israel, and you will hear the words of my mouth and forewarn them. When I were to tell the wicked, you shall surely die. If you were to not speak for the wicked to not draw away from his path, he will die because of his sin, but I will demand his blood upon you. That's why we have all the religious people taking sin. I told you. I don't want your blood upon my hands. How many times have I heard Gambetta say that? For example, and if you were to let the wicked to draw away, this was the question that was asked to me by this young man, Daniel Santiago, 33:9, and if you were to let the wicked, to let him draw away from his evil path, and he does not draw away, he will die for his own sin. But you have freed your life. You have spared your life. What does this mean? The same thing. Same thing as everything. Who said the truth in this world? No one. That the people help to be saved in life? No. Are there people that are to blame because of lying? No, not that either. Because it all depends. What is in the head? I understand that the Christians, the more, even if they're so fake, in the majority, the great part, they believe in what they teach. The pastors, like my dad, for example, he believed what he preached. How can I blame him for preaching something false? I can't blame him. I helped someone. Well, did he help them? No, I'd have to say no. Maybe he helped someone in the case of the family, somebody to leave alcohol, things like that. But he couldn't even help himself. He died at 64 years old before being able to even retire. That is tremendous. It means that he couldn't even help himself. Somebody with diabetes, problems with the heart, and a whole bunch of other problems that he had. How is it that he left so soon? Because evidently he could not even help himself. So then, this is not applied to the religious people. We could apply it to the Messiah, though. The Messiah, if we apply all this to the Messiah receives the command from Yahweh of starting to speak and to start to say, Not under the threat that if you don't say their blood, no. Because then Messiah says, hold on, are you threatening me to top it? No, then look for another Messiah and go fuck off. You have to use those words. Yeah. Don't come at me with warnings. I'm not going to do it because of your warnings. I'll do it because I think it's the truth, not because, I placed it. No. Absolutely not. So then it's applied unto the Messiah, give or take. Very little. This whole first part. But now the text changes. It changes entirely. And everything that he's about to say is different. 10. Say unto them, as unto the Son of Man. For me, what he said before, you can apply it in certain things, but it's actually a level of cover. Just like that, a cover. Thou, therefore, Son of Man, say unto the house of Israel, ye have spoken thus, saying, our rebellions and our transgressions are upon us. We pine away in them. How should we live then? This is a supposed hypothetical. I don't think it's true. But let's suppose that it is how the people are complaining. The people are saying, since we're rebellious and we're sinners, and that sin, that rebellion is there, that blame is upon us, that is why we are dying. We are consumed. How then will we live? Anyone can think about that. So then Yahweh says, tell him, as I liveth, saith Yahweh the Lord, that I do not want the death of the wicked. Okay. I'll stop there so that I can explain this whole part. It's not Yahweh the Creator speaking. It is a teaching that is absorbed by the Messiah, which will be the Yahweh, the owner of the earth. So then, even if it says Yahweh, it is not Yahweh. Actually, this is the way of conducting justice on the new earth. From this point out, the people say, based on the whole sinful nature that we have, we're going to die because everyone dies. How will we live? And tells us the Messiah, how will we live? In what way can you help us to live? If in the human nature, it indicates that we shall die. Taken out about the rebellion, all that, taking all that out. Just our human nature gets to 70 or 80, and you are completely done for old person. How could you help us? It is not the rebellions in this case. It's the human nature. Say unto them then, the Messiah is speaking here, not Yahweh. As I live it, saith Yahweh the Lord, and I could tell you, as I live it, the new God of the earth saith, that I do not want the death of the wicked. How many times have you heard this in the eternal truth? We don't want for the wicked to die. In fact, we want everyone to be saved. How many religions have you heard that says we want the death of the wicked? But notice how the words are written. The death of the wicked. Because if you're wicked, there's no solution. We do not want the death of the wicked, but rather that the wicked will turn from his path and to live. Precisely, that is what the Messiah expects, for the wicked to start to change their way of life, and that they obtain life. Turn back from your bad paths, the Messiah speaking, change your ways of living. Why shall ye die, O house of Israel? It doesn't say house of Israel. The Messiah, it says, this is concealed. Why will they die? People of the earth, that is, Israel, represents now all of the nations of all this history of the earth. Why shall you die? If you change, you will not die. I don't want you to die. I want to give you life, but you will not have life in abundance if you do not change. Pay attention to this, because this is the way of justice of the new world, which I've already explained, but now I'm explaining it in a different text. 12. And you, son of man, say unto the children of thy people, the justice of the righteous will not save him in the day that he were to rebel, and the impiety of the wicked will not be against him the day that he would turn from iniquity. So then, the justice of, if you were righteous your whole life, it will not help you the day that you do things wrong. And also, all of the injustice that you've done, injustice, completely injustice, will it be a problem when you stop doing injustice? That is what justice is. And the righteous will not be able to live for his own justice the day that he were to sin. Let us suppose that it is very, very much against the law the day that he stops being righteous. The righteous will not be able to live by his own justice, all of the justice that he obtained for all throughout the years, the day that he becomes unjust. The day he becomes unjust, he cannot say, hey, I've been just for 100 years. Now I'll be unjust for 2 or 3 years of doing things that are very unrighteous. But take into account the 100 years that I was righteous, 200 years I was righteous, or 1,000 years being righteous. And now just because I do one thing, I'll translate that for you to a code of justice. The same thing takes place in our justice. A guy that never stole anything, all of a sudden he steals something, and justice grabs you and says, hey, you stole something. Of course, we'll take into account that you don't have an enormous list, but you're going to have to pay for something. You did wrong. You know you did wrong. Did you know you did wrong? Maybe the law is not going to fall with all of the weight of like some guy that lived his whole life being unjust and say, hey, you, we're sick and tired of you stealing. How many times are you going to told you? One that never stole, he will have an easier sentence than one that's never stole. That's fine. That's not what the text is saying. It's just that he encloses it with living or dying. And I've explained this many times. It's not an instantaneous life. That's not what it is. 13. When I were to say unto the righteous, ye shall live, and if he trust to his own righteousness and commit iniquity, all his righteousness shall not be remembered, but for his iniquity that he hath committed, he shall die for it. Everyone can read it this way, aside from the fact that it is concealed. You can read it this way and say, wow, if you're righteous and you're living, when you do an injustice, you're going to die. I want to clarify this. It is not the sense of dying instantly. It is the sense of losing the condition of constant life. When we are born in this condition, we are dying. Now, if we take 70, 80 years to die, 64 like my dad, or 100 years like others can get to, they could get to, it does not mean that all of a sudden they lived and then died. No, they are dying in their condition ever since they were born. It's just that death takes some time. It takes some time. So then, when here it says, he that is righteous and is trusting that he has life, he starts to do injustices, he will die. But it is not the fact that he will die because he will be executed. He will die because he starts to lose the condition of having a constant life. He starts to die. He starts to die. That's the way it is, slowly. Just like when Yahweh told Adam and Eve that the day that ye eat thereof that fruit, ye shall die. You didn't die. They didn't die that day. They ended up dying 900 years later. Do you understand what I'm saying? So then, you have to understand this story, that it's not that, oh, you're righteous, and all of a sudden you're unrighteous. Oh, electric chair, he died. That's the way that's it, it's over. No. You lose the condition of a life, an eternal life per se. I don't want to use the word eternal. That term does not exist. It does not exist. Because if I were to have a mortal life, it's that I'm dying. I'm dying. Evidently, you are undoing yourself. How long will it take you to be completely done? It depends. But you're already dying. Your cells are dying. So then I like to say a state of life in which you're not dying and you're stable. I don't have a term. I'm going to say a constant life, let's say. I'm not trying to say eternal, because if I say eternal, is that nothing can kill you. Are you trying to understand? So then if I have a constant life and I stay in that constant state, it could be a day, 10 years, 100,000 years, and I'm constant in life. It does not mean that it's eternal, because if I could alter this. If I start to do injustice, I lose that constance, and what starts is decadence. Do you understand what I'm saying? So then I cannot use eternal life, but constant life, that you have life. You're not dying. But in the moment in which you start to do wickedness, that is where you go directly to death. There you go into a constant fall. Exactly. How long does it take? That doesn't matter. But you lose your constance, not your eternal life, your constance of life. You don't grow old. You're not dying. That you don't start to look uglier or more weak. No, none of that. None of that. It is constant, constant, constant. But to stay that constance, you have to have a conduct. Very well. That's why I cannot say eternal life. Constant life. Then we'll make up another term. Okay. So then, it says, when I were to say unto the righteous, he that hath constant life, because of he being righteous, surely ye shall live, you will have a constant life, and he were to be trusting in his own justice and in his constant life, he were to do iniquity, because every citizen of the new year will have the right. Sounds too strong, but it is the right. The right. It is not the right. Actually, it is. He will have the power of doing wickedness. It is not that it's the right, but he'll have the power, because he'll have in his decision. Neither the Messiah nor God the Creator want any people that are automated. People that are constantly deciding between doing good and evil, that constantly they know what it is to do good and evil, and that they choose constantly to do good. And then when they make a mistake, which that will take place for them to correct. That is what is needed in the new. We don't want people that don't think that they cannot do evil. No, that's not what we want. Those are robots. That would be a robot. The new world is made up by people that have that capacity, would be the better word, of doing both evil and good. Decision. Personal decision. Like the Christians say, free will to do good and or evil. Okay, so then it says, let's see how the chickens are doing. Hold on. I just remembered. I mean, are the chickens 0-0? They cannot score on them. I can't believe you. Last time they played in that stadium, they lost. The chickens that they were beaten, completely crushed. It was such an embarrassment. I think Riesta beat them, and anything is that team. Just an ascended team. I mean, just any team. Little team. 0-0. The chickens cannot score? Really? Wow. Okay. So then, when I were to say unto righteous, ye shall surely live, and he, trusting in his own justice, he would do iniquity, all of his justice will not be remembered. Everything that allowed him to have a constance of life is lost, and what starts is the decadence, the going towards death. But he shall die due to his iniquity. Exactly. He loses the constance, and he starts down the path of death. How does he sum it up? He shall die. Exactly. As when it says he shall surely die when you eat this fruit, that same day you'll die. No, the constance to death is what starts. And when I were to say unto the wicked, notice that the wicked still hasn't died because he has the right for him to speak to them. I want you to understand that it's not the righteous is righteous. He did injustice and he died. No. There is a period of time that takes place while he's still righteous. He doesn't die immediately. He dies during the period of time. So then, or else the unrighteous will not exist. As soon as they do an injustice, they die. Imagine if that were so, then there would be nothing. No one righteous would be left. No one. It'd be just me alone here. I don't know. No one would be left here speaking. Not even I. Not even the parrot. So then it's not that the righteous is righteous. He dies as soon as he sins. No, there would not. No one be left because there's a time of development and justice, and those are years. Very well. So then I'll read again here. When I were to say unto the wicked, he's doing injustices that could perfectly have been a righteous person but already in a decadent path. Verily he shall die. Tell him, your end is death. Continue on that path and you will die. If he were to turn from his sin, notice that there is a very great time there to tell to the unrighteous person, hey, you're unrighteous. You have exited your constants of life. You're going down the constants of towards death. If you turn from that place, you can take the... In Germanic medicine, we understand this easily. When you're in the constants that they call... how do you say it? When you're in the state... how did they say it in the constant state? They call it... No, wait. Normotomy, right? I forgot about the term. When they're... normotomy? Whatever. If it isn't, I just made it up. When you're in the normotomy or whatever it's called, that's the way you are. You see going up and down. The problem is when you all of a sudden you have a going up thereof. Let's suppose that it represented in this line. It's a DHS with conflicts, and when you come off of that conflict and you solve that conflict, there comes a whole lower term that is precisely the period in which of reparation. What do you call that? Yeah, normotomy or sympathiotomy. Sympathiotomy. Exactly. So then, notice that in the moment in which a problem is triggered, you enter into a deep problem that if you don't solve, the problem continues on. Depending what organ it touches, it could grow, or decrease, or it no longer works. And if you continue it without solving it, it takes you to death. That's it, it's over, it takes you to death. Because if you're afraid of death, then your lungs will grow, and it'll become what the medicine calls crab. That's it, it's over. There comes a point in which your body has come out of that normotomy. It has come out of what life is, and you enter into a different stage. So then what comes, someone that knows says, hey, you have to exit from there, because that will take you to death. You have to exit from there. You have to solve your conflicts, and by solving them, you also enter into that if you speak to them and you explain to them, they can go back to normotomy and into life constantly, the constant life. That which we see in Germanic medicine will be installed into the new earth. There's no turn of the page. It's just that the normotomy in this case is life, perfect life. You will not grow old. But in the moment in which you do evil, I'm talking about evil here, that is when you go out and you start a decadent path. Farewell. So then, when I were to say unto the wicked, ye shall surely die, and he shall turn from his sin, and will do according to the right and justice. If the wicked were to give back what he stole and do restitution and were to walk in the statutes of life, not doing iniquity, he shall live surely and not die. This is the text of the invitation read in the Spanish RV 1960. This is not applied in the old days, nor has it ever been applied, because we all die. We all die. No matter how good you are or how evil you are. In fact, if you're evil, like I've already told you in the beginning, there is a chance of you living more. So then this is purely an instruction for the new God of the earth and nothing else. That is how the new earth will be. The text of the invitation, I placed it in the Jerusalem 2001, which I like the way it sounds better. And if I were to the wicked, who's speaking here? The new God of the earth is speaking. And if I were to say to the wicked, ye shall die, who's the wicked? Those that make mistakes and start to do wicked, ye shall die. And he should draw away from his sin and shall practice the right and justice of the new earth. If he gets back what he stole, and he gives restitution of what he stole, he keeps the precepts that give life. You see how it says he observes the precepts that give life. The Torah has never given life. But the precepts, the new ones, are for life, which will be there. Which give life, observes the precepts that give life, and stops committing injustice, shall live. Surely he shall not die. So then it'll be a give and take. Certain people which will do injustice, they will fall, and they'll have to change to go back to their state, which was before. Now, this can take a long time. There has to be a worsening of the people, just like what happens with Germanic medicine. If Yahweh has taught us what the laws that he placed in us are, as an example, when you're suffering a problem, you start to see absolutely that you don't like it there. You want to come out from that problem. You do everything possible. No one that's sick or has doesn't want to stay with those problems. That's why they go with the white robes to get a little pill, to do an analysis, and to do cuts. But they want to solve the problem. And what? Sometimes they want to solve the problem, but not to solve what they feel. Because if we're talking about that a person lost an inheritance, and the pancreas starts to grow because that inheritance was his or hers, and the brother or sister comes or the uncle and steals it, and she counted with that money, and all of a sudden the money is no longer there and says you're not going to receive anything. And that anger and hate that he has against the person that stole the inheritance or that denied it entirely, he reads a testament of the father that he promised to give him a house, doesn't give him anything. That house, he even has to leave from that. You don't know what that causes in the psyche. When an inheritance that you had as yours and you don't receive it, it's tremendous. It's the only thing, the only factor that makes you grow precisely for the pancreas and gives you a few days of life, just few days of life, and you're out of here. You're out of here. That's it. For those of the white robe, there's no solution. You're out of here. There's no solution. For those of us that understand this problem, if the person reacts on time, says, but it's so difficult, though. It's so difficult to say, I no longer care. But the thing is that you have to convince the subconscious that you don't care, that you really forgive those that stole from you. Didn't really have to give you anything. You didn't want anything. It was good for him to not give you anything. But actually, it wasn't yours, and you did well. It sounds illogical, what I'm saying. But let's suppose that it's the only solution. To accept the reality and that the other guy has the right to not give you anything, or the one that stole from you, to not give you anything, and to forgive. To tapara, for you to not like, I no longer care. If they were to achieve that, and many people do, the organ enters into the solution of the conflict, and they are saved. It would seem to be magic, but it's not magic. So then, what it's saying here, in that type of wickedness, whichever it might be, If the people do not change, then they go directly to death. If they do change, like in the Germanic medicine that we know, the little that we know, they start a path of going back to life, just like that, going back to something that's painful. Sometimes the solution costs. It's difficult. The changes are difficult, but it brings you back to life. If you don't do it, you go to the other place, period. So then, I'll read it in the version that we published for the invitation. In Ezekiel 33, 14 to 15, Jerusalem 2001. And if I were to say unto the wicked, you shall die, you shall die. There's nothing else. Look at what you did. You will die. You're going directly to death. Unless you stop doing what you're doing, unless you stop feeling what you're feeling, unless you forgive, unless you change, you will die. If he were to turn from his sin, if he were to change and understands that what he did is wrong, forget about the word sin, and were to do according to the right and justice, if the righteous were to give back what he stole and give back what he had stole and would walk in the precepts of life, not doing iniquity, he shall live. Surely he shall not die. So then, in the new world, you have the chance of entering into the path of death. It is so clear. Life, actually, it is an eternal life for all those that stay themselves in the right and in justice. When somebody decides to do evil, which they will, they'll enter into a bending. And if not, then you may ask, what if they don't want to repent? Well, if they don't, they're going to have to experience the final result. They're going to have to experience it. And afterwards, after they experience it, then the government has the option of looking for him again and explain things. That is the result. You want to stay that way? Tell me, how long do you want me to keep for us to keep you there? Non-conscious, resting. How long do you want to stay there? Tell me. If you don't want to exist anymore, which is not the case of the people, you have to change. So then, I believe that when somebody is obtuse and you don't understand, sometimes you'll have to experience the greatest of the consequence. I don't know. I'm just thinking with my mind in this state right now. Maybe the people, by having a little more intelligence, they say, no, no, no. I've gone through that. I don't want to go through that again. I understand. Whatever. So then they start ascending path. Once again, to normotomy or constant life. None of his sins that he had committed shall be remembered. If the wicked changes, he says, none of his sins will be remembered. He did what was lawful and right. He shall live surely. That right there, I will make it very clear. It has never been applied because we die always, no matter if you're the most righteous person that exists, that you don't steal, that you weren't to say or do evil to your neighbor. You'll die either way as a dog. Not just die, you'll grow old. Even if you go to a place where you don't hurt anyone, you will die like a dog. Why? Because this is not being applied. When this is applied, it'll be beneficial. The people will see the benefit that there is in justice. Now, how many people see the benefit in justice? No one. Because there's no benefit. There's no benefit in justice. Everyone knows this. Just if I read the text that says, and you bless those that are evil, not just that I'm saying it. In Malachi 2:17, what's it say exactly in Malachi 2:17? Ye have wearied Yahweh with your words, and you say, and what have we wearied him? And that you say that whomever did that evil pleaseth Yahweh. There it is, the true law that there is not this one that I've just read in Ezekiel, this one here. Whomever did that evil pleaseth Yahweh, and in such he delighteth. It is very clear right there. You think Yahweh's going to give you life because you're good, just because you're good? He makes you suffer even more. Because he makes the wicked be on top of you. So you see what an unjust world this is. This is all wanted to do good. Like the Godfather said, the Godfather wanted to stop doing his business in the movie. He says, I no longer want to do this. No more. I'm retired. So then he says, when I think that I'm out, they pull me back in. They once again drag me back in. They don't let me do my life. Ask the Godfather if he can be just. He can't. He says, if I retire, what do you mean you're going to retire? You're going to come back. So then, that's just an example in a movie, but that example in real life on a permanent basis. He has the advantage of saying, okay, what you did is wrong. Let's give an example. Maybe it doesn't take place, but, it's an example either way. Because you're so angry one day, or envy or jealousy, because all that has to exist in the new earth, mind you. Envy, jealousy, wrath, all that will exist. If it doesn't exist, then we're no longer human beings. We're just not. We're robots. So then all has to exist. We have to know how to handle it. Let's suppose that in jealousy or whatever, or envy or anger, some guy goes and kills somebody. He goes and kills him. Like Cain and Abel. He goes and kills him. So then the government comes, who's the Messiah, with lots of power, says, what's going on here? Oh, don't tell me because I already know. I'm the big brother, but the actual big brother. What happened here? Okay, you killed him. The government comes and resurrects him. It doesn't cost him at all. He has the power of life. He resurrects him. So then we both have a problem here. He that was killed has to forgive the one that killed him. If the one that was killed says, I'm going to take vengeance. Of course. It's because we have to understand that both the one that does evil, also the one that doesn't know how to forgive does evil. Because he has to forgive. The one that received the evil by it being completely received complete restitution, he has to know how to forgive, or else he doesn't have any justice. He doesn't have justice. The government already resurrected you. So then he could say, and what's going to be his sentence? His sentence is that he has to learn to control things. Now he enters into a non-constance of life, a constance, and he has to show us and prove to us that actually he has surpassed the problem that took him to kill you. An example, a fictitious example. The government says, you know what, okay, now I want you to become great friends. If you don't become great friends and you learn to really deal with your differences, then you're both fucked. And if you don't become great friends, but you have to at least tolerate each other. I cannot obligate you to be great friends. You have to tolerate each other. You have to forgive this guy, and then he has to learn to control his emotions. So then, as soon as they control their emotions more, they go back to the state of normotomy, or the constant life. And the other one, if he has no more sentiments or emotions against the one that killed him, then he goes back to his emotions, to his normotomy. And they're both happy there. We could even say, well, if you can't stand each other, then move to a different place. We have different properties. If you cross that sea right there, I mean, we can solve it that way. I don't expect for everyone to like each other, because you're not like each other. No. You don't like each other, then move, go elsewhere, whatever. But practice justice. If a couple comes and says, we can't stand each other, then separate each other. Here in the New World, it's not that you cannot separate each other. What God put together, let men not put apart. No, none whatsoever. If you don't like each other, then separate each other. No one is going to suffer any problems or division. They solve it right away, or economical problems. They'll be surpassed. Period. And that's it. It's over. If I get married to be for my entire life, yes, for your entire life. No, it isn't so. It isn't so. If you get along, then fine. And I don't even know if we're gonna impose matrimony. I don't know. I just don't know. Right now, I don't know. Right now, I cannot answer that. Don't ask me that because I don't know. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Period. If it works, then it works. And if it works for those that want it, it works. If you don't want it, then we take it out. It depends. It's all dependent. So then, moving on, I'll read this text entirely, 33, 12, 16 in the Spanish, DHH. I'll read Ezekiel 33, 12 through 16, Spanish DHH, because I like the way it sounds, 2002. Thou, therefore, it doesn't say son enough, man. I just added words that it said, thou, man, say unto your compatriots, if a good man sinneth, his previous goodness will not save him. And if he stops doing evil, his previous wicked will not be a cause for his death. If a good man sins, then his previous kindness will not be enough to continue to live. I love the way they said it here. If a good man sins, and that part about sinning is that he does evil, iniquity, injustice, his previous kindness will not be enough to continue to live. A constant life, that is. If I were to promise life to a good man, and he, trusting in his goodness, he does what is evil, I will not take into account any good action of his, but rather he shall die because of the evil that he had committed. You went from a constant life, and you will die. If you don't change, you will die. If you continue sustaining what you feel, you will die. And if I condemn a wicked person to die, and the same stops and leaves sin, in other words, from doing evil, and acts well and with justice, if he returns what he had received as a token for a debt, or what he stole, or what, I don't know, many things that we could add there, and if he follows the law that gives life, and he stops doing what is evil, surely he shall live, he shall not die. He goes back to constant life. For now, he acts well, and with justice he shall live. And I will not remember any sins or wickedness or injustices that he had committed. That is in the Spanish DHH. It is very clear. That is how the new earth will be handled. 17. But what will happen? This is how I comprehended that Yahweh the Creator is forewarning us and is training us and is telling us, look, it's not a pretty little heaven like what you imagine. To rule an entire earth filled with billions of people that are free in thinking, you will have billions of problems. I'll tell it to you right now. I'll forewarn you now. I've been dealing with this for 6,000 years. And you that will change this, don't think that it's going to be easy at all. Humans are God in themselves. They're very much a fucker. They're very obtuse. How? Oh, he is very stubborn, and you'll prove that he's stubborn, knowing that you want to do good just by being stubborn. He wants to know what evil is, and so then you're going to have to deal with this situation. And not just that. There's going to be a whole bunch of people that swear to you. They swear because of the colors. They swear citizenship, and you'll have a whole bunch of them, and you'll allow them to enter, but actually they don't really like you a lot. Actually, they think that you're unjust, but in turn they want to enter because they live better than in the old world that they're living back, that is Babylon. So then, when they see, it's like the whole quantity of people that come to the U.S. Now they're worse than ever. But before, they were a lot better. But many come with good intentions, and others not with such good intentions. But of course, they try to give you the papers and all the rest. I'm not speaking about the illegals that don't even mention, but those that enter with legality, many have good intentions, others no. Not some. Others come to do wickedness precisely so then. Yahweh is forewarning us or warning those that will be the Messiah and God and earth and owner of the earth the following. Pay attention. The warning, this will take place. 17. Then the children of thy people shall say, precisely your citizens, because it's all of them, that children of your people is concealed. Some citizens that you'll have on the new earth will say this. Then the children of thy people shall say, some of your citizens, the way of the Lord is not equal. I don't like that they are directing this government. I think that this government are thieves. I think this government are unjust. The same thing that they complain now about the governments, but they're going to start to give incentives. Certain groups saying they're not doing justice. These guys, they say they're just. They're not doing justice. Their way is not equal that of the government, precisely. So then, what is the answer of the government? Their way is the one that is not equal. Exactly. I explain to you why this happens. Because there are many people, since they've never practiced justice, and they'd like to practice cheating and injustice, then they say everything, yes, but then later they try to do what they've always done their whole life. Either it gives them pleasure, or they have problems, or for many reasons. And there won't be any magic to say, oh, you were evil, and now you're good. No, that does not exist. It'll never exist. Everyone will have to surpass their own problems. So then, many people that have lived their entire lives stealing whatever they could and scamming whatever they could, lying as a principle of life, always looking for an advantage. That will be translated unto the new world. They're going to say, yes, we love the system, we love you, we want to live with you, we want to live here. But actually, they're going to attract a whole bunch of problems. And when they want to do what they always did, and that is not convenient, so that they can project, which is called projection in psychology, they're going to project their own fallacies upon the government. You're thieves when they're the thieves. Because the government says, you cannot live that way. You have to live by doing this, this, and that. You cannot scam, you cannot lie, you cannot deceive, but they have that way of living, and that'll come out. And so then, so as to be able to defend themselves, they're going to accuse that the government is evil. Not them. The government is evil. And the government says, or God says, the one that, of the government, he says, their path is the one that is not righteous. Actually, it is their path. As it turns out, is that they want to do their own thing. They want to do their own way. And the government says, that's not the way. That's not the way. So then they will be out of place and say, oh, no, we can't do anything here. You're not righteous. It's not fair. Just an example. Anyway, I'll say whatever example that just came to mind. Maybe it's too small, but it's an example either way. Because where they used to live on the other side of let's suppose Mexico, they were used to listening to their music because they don't care about their neighbors. So then as soon as they either turn down, or they get these speakers and they put it to the highest level, and they've always lived that way, and they're always living and drinking. So then they would put music and dog shit music with those corridos and all those types of music. When they cross their what music do you think they when they cross over? What do you think they bring? The same desires of being drinking all day, listening to that music. And they could care about the rest. And to top it off, they earn more money. They buy bigger speakers, and so then they have more money and they can drink even more beer or more liquor because they work. They have their virtues. They're human beings like all of us. They have their virtues, but since they have more resources now it's even worse. Now, I mean, fuck all the rest and says, I'm going to put my music because that's the way I am, because in my people, we were like this my whole life. It doesn't matter. The government says, if you put the music that high, we're going to come and burn every single speaker. That's the way it is. The music, just an example. The music should not be heard from your house, outside. And those in front, to not listen to that music. They listen to a different type of music. that your music bothers them. They don't even want to hear a little bit of a trumpet from your banda. They don't want to listen to that. That. And they don't want to listen to that. Doesn't want to listen to it. I mean, not even one sound. So then you can listen to your music. It cannot come from your own property. This is the new earth and the new earth. So the guy says, no, this is unfair. I'm used to living and doing what I want and put my music as loud as possible and to be drinking, and I don't care, and I put my speakers outside and I start to dance until whatever hours. Government, when they come, they said, no, hold on, that's it, it's over, we're going to take everything. Every time you do that, we'll take it away. So then he says, it's so unfair, the government. It's unfair. In their eyes, it's unfair. Because their whole life, that's what they did. They don't consider to be evil. They could give a fuck. You understand what I'm saying? That's just an example that is translated to everything. The invasion to others' property. When I moved to this neighborhood like 23 years ago, there was very few Latin people. You would not hear music, and I moved from a neighborhood that I was sick and tired of the music. It's 15 minutes away from where we live now. I moved because I was sick and tired of the music. One day, it was so terrible that Leslie told me, buy another house because I can't stand it here anymore. It's not about a house here. There's a lot more space. We have a whole acre here, and we wouldn't hear anything. And it was so until another Latino started to move in. And then another one, an American would leave, and a Latin would come, and the fucking mother say, why? I want to see the white boys that don't bother me. No, a white boy would leave, and then a Latino would come. A white boy would leave, and a Latino would come. When you least expect it, we're all surrounded with Latinos. And the music, you can hear it everywhere, and I'm sick and tired of it. They bring their fucking customs, and that, if I had power, I would take it out of the root. You say, if you listen either in your headphones or at a level inside, but I want to hear your fucking music. And you know how they hear the music here. Saturdays at 3 until 3 a.m. and the weekdays, and it's like, and they're enormous properties, mind you. We're not talking about one on top of each other. We're talking about that my property has 50 meters wide by 100 practically. But so you understand, my property makes 50 meters by 100, give or take. Just so you calculate, we're not living one on top of each other. Okay, these properties are enormous. This terrain, that and all, the music invades my house, and I get so angry. If I had power, I would burn their whole speakers, and for them to buy another one, I'll burn it again until they say, you see, just listen to it low. I don't want your fucking music here. Just put off, they listen to the worst music you hear. If you were to listen to music that I like, maybe I'll stand it. Sometimes if it's in English, oh, what a beautiful music. They're listening to rock music, but when I hear Mexican music or Colombian or whatever, I get really bad because that music cannot enter into me. Just zero. And it makes me be in a very bad state. Those customs, they'll translate them into the new earth. The Chinese, you don't know what customs they have. The Chinese, the Orientals, the Indians, they're going to have so many customs. They're going to be a whole chaos at the beginning, the chaos. But they'll have to learn to live together. But in the meantime, the people are going to say, oh, how unfair is the government. We can't do anything. There's no freedom here. And the government's going to say, no, your path is not righteous. We are teaching you so that you learn. You say, one day, you'll say, oh, how beautiful. Now I've learned. It was true that you were the righteous and we're the unrighteous. So then that's why I'll read again. Then the children of your people will say, the citizens that you have, it is not equal your way is of the government. Their path is the one that is not righteous. When the righteous were to draw away from their justice and they do iniquity, he shall die for it. Exactly. They start to lose their constance of life and they start to die. And when the wicked shall draw away from his iniquity, the one that is in the constance to die, when the wicked will draw away from his iniquity and will do what is lawful and right, he shall live. That is why he will start once again into the constance of life. It is very clear. And ye shall say, who? Some citizens, Maybe it's many, maybe not so many, but Yahweh forewarned us that this will take place. And ye said, it is not righteous the path of the Lord. It is not righteous the path of this government. This is not righteous. This is not justice. I'm used to doing this and that and do this and that, and nobody would tell me anything. I'm used to hitting my wife. I'm kicking my children, and you're gonna tell me that I can't do that? You're telling me something else? I was brought up this way. It is not righteous. Your path is. What does the government say? I will judge you, O house of Israel, which is the entire world. I'll translate it. I am the judge. The government says, I'm the judge. Entire world. And I'll judge you, every one of you, according to your paths. Not what you believe, not what you think that I should do, not the justice with which you come at your level of justice. We have to train you. All this is summed up to what? That the whole world has to receive instruction. Because they're so poor, the justice of men is, because they were not taught, they never practiced it, and when they start to understand, if my neighbors, which is just some, not all of them, just some, they were to understand that they cannot put their music so loud, they would be righteous saying, no, I'm bothering not just one, but all of my neighbors. If my neighbor were to understand, in this case I don't have any, but I've had, that the dog next door was barking me in my ear all day, he didn't know anything about it. That is what I would call injustice. He has to grab his dog, either make him disappear somewhere else, or train him so that he doesn't bark in one way or another. My dogs have been that way. If my dogs would bark a lot, a Doberman or whatever, I would place them in a different place in the property, or I even bought certain situations that would give them certain incentives, some collars, so they don't bark. Because I would be always worrying over the neighbors on a permanent basis. Not everybody has that. If they're used to coming and having parties and they park in my property without any permission, and then they go and throw all their beer cans and let anybody else clean them, whoever else, but I'm not going to clean it. That is injustice. And I know that the people are not educated in every aspect. Many people did not receive what courtesy is, education, how to act, how to not invade someone's freedom. All those things they'll have to learn, because we're talking about, don't think that one alone will come, one sole citizen will come a perfect one. Not just one. They're all going to come with all of their imperfections. And those that are resurrected also, and those that live now also. Everyone will come with their ideas, with their way of acting, with their way of thinking, with their nationality, with their beliefs, with all of their culture. And they'll say, I've always done this. This is fine for me. If I want to start a fire and to burn things that have that bad odor, I don't care if the neighbors smell that. Me, because I've always done so, I'm going to burn all of my garbage at the back of my house. Like I had a neighbor, he started to burn, and every day he had such a smell. And I said, hey, what are you burning? He wouldn't tell me anything until I said, look, if you're going to start burning, I'm going to go to the city and I'll denounce you. And I'll continue to do so until they kick you out of here, or they give you such a fine. It's the only way for him to stop. He'd come, it would invade my whole house, my kitchen. Why do I have to smell what the neighbor burns? It's inconceivable. But the people have no culture. They don't care. You think about your neighbors. You think about what you do also, obviously, because we always blame the others, but you the same thing. I want you to know. And I tell it to your face. Tell it to your face. No, and you're the same. You're the same. They bother you what you do, but what do you do? What do you do? Imagine everything that your neighbors bothers that they do to you. Those things have to change. And things about you also bother the rest. They have to change. has to be a person that nobody can find anything wrong with you. As long as you go into the terrain, into the life, the space, you as a mother, as a father, as a mother-in-law, you respect your limits when your children leave, not from your house, when your children leave, when your children or your daughters-in-law, they don't like the way they treat your children. How do they act? You have to learn to solve all those types of problems. Well, all those types of problems, even if they seem small like this, they will take you to death. Because if a mother does not know that she does not have to produce milk when her son is a 20-year-old grown-ass man, and because he has economical problems or with his wife, you get such a crab. And we know that it's precisely because you're producing, because you want to feed him, because you have the necessity of feeding him. It could be your son, it could be an animal, it could be your husband, your mother, it could be many things. If you don't learn that that's not the way of acting, then you're going to die for that, just like that. You see it in Germanic medicine, you see it, and it'll be seen in the new earth. It is not based on so many laws that say, what are the laws? No. It'll be based on justice. When you, the government, says what you're doing is wrong, you have a problem. Either you change or you go down a decadent path. All that come in decadent path says, you're the unjust ones. I used to do this and that. It's my way of acting. It is my culture. And I would say, I could give a fuck about your culture. Grab your culture and shove it way up your ass. Because I could give a fuck. The way of acting is this. And what your mother taught you, I could give a fuck. And what your grandmother, I could give a fuck. If your mother taught you something that is out of place, either you learn to do it right, or you will go down a decadent path. And the decadent path is the path that I've just told you. You will enter into decadence. Because you will not fit in. You're not going to be, how do you say fit in Spanish? You're not going to fit in. You're not going to fit in the new earth correctly until you learn to fit in. Because it's not that we're going to all try and withstand and suffer people that act wrong. No. They're going to have to learn what justice is. They're going to have to learn what equality is. They're going to have to learn what respect is. Those are the things, not this, you should love. No, none of that. None of that. None of that. You have to learn what it is to respect. To respect your neighbor, your co-citizen. Respect. If they respect, if they learn what respect is, there's no problem. Because he that respects does not steal from you. He that respects you, he does not lie to you. He that respects you, he doesn't want to hurt you. He that respects you doesn't want to make you listen to his music or gives you smoke or invades your territory because he respects you. So then this government, worldwide government, will be based on respect. Not based on laws, respect. If you don't understand what respect is, then they're going to enter the decadent path until they learn. And it'll cost them. The whole world will learn. Just like that, the whole world will learn. That is the security that I have. It'll cost some. There'll be millions of criticism, millions of problems, but the whole world will learn to respect something which has not been learned on this earth. We've learned certain parts. Other parts we did not. And that which we have not learned, we'll have to learn. And the government will be precisely to teach and to show that if you do not have respect, justice, equality, kindness, and all the rest, you will not keep your constant life. The government not going to tell you, it's not going to demand anything from you. It's going to demand respect for you to act well with justice. And that is how everything will act spectacularly. Next Shabbat, we shall study yet another chapter that is absolutely interesting with respects of this. Same subject, and that has a different twist, but same subject, because we're learning on this stage and this school of the Messiah how the government will be, how the new world will live. It's better that we learn it now, we understand it clearly, in what it'll be based, the existence in the new world. It is based in justice, in respect. That is where it's based on, not in the world. Love to God, no, none of that. Justice and respect. That is all that the existence will be, and the minimum to be able to continue to live indefinitely in this earth. Very well. The destiny is written. The end is inevitable. Let us read Psalms 78, 1 through 2. Hear, all my people, my law. It's never been said, and every time it sounds even better. Hear, my people, my law. And incline your ear unto the words of my mouth. I will open my mouth in Proverbs. I will speak hidden things from times of old. The law, the words of the Messiah, the words of the new God of the earth will be a law. That is the law. That is the law. What he says goes. Many will say, this is not righteous. That is their problem. They'll pay for the consequences until they start to act in a better way. Semper Fi. Let the laurels be eternal that we knew how to achieve, crowned with glory, let us live, or we swear with glory to die. I hope that Boca wins tomorrow. I hope that how's River doing? The seasons we're doing. It ended? Oh, we have 20 minutes to watch. 0-0. Okay, so 20 minutes. They can't win. Come on. Okay, that's perfect. That is the Gallardo team. Tomorrow, I hope we win. We have a coach that I think is worthless. If he was any worth anyone before, he's no longer good. But that is how things are. That is what we have to deal with. If you heard anything that you liked today, that you understood, and you accept it in this subject, I hope that you give us a like in the video. And I also hope that your way of accepting of this message will also go in a phrase if you liked it or comment. But it's the minimum that you could do. Even if I speak to you for hours and hours, the minimum is for you to say that you liked it. Why? Because this is the school of the government of the Messiah. If the way of the government that we'll do is already being formed, and also what type of law we'll understand and handle, and that is the law. Everything that I've spoken of is the law. Why? Because Yahweh is training us in turn and has left us all the scripture to show us what would be the best that is convenient for us to use. Life and death. Not in the sense of living and dying immediately, but in the sense of entering into decadence. We all know what it is to live with pain and decadence. If we could come out of it, and for me to go back to my 25 years of age, of my physical state and my strength, who wouldn't do that? I would do that. And they said, you have to change this and this and that. I would do so. That is what the world will experience. Or else they'll follow down the path for many years, and if they don't change until they get to very death. Because it is written that way. Because Yahweh is showing us, and he leaves a book as an advice. This is the best way for you to have a chance of having a perfect world. Apply this, and you'll see how the whole world will understand. When they feel in their own body the effects of disobeying the minimal laws that you will have, then you will see the negative result. And you will go, and sometime will pass until you change. And when you change, you'll go back to once again, go back to the constant life. Hallelujah to every one of you. A great big applause for the Messiah that will soon exercise everything that I've just said on this earth. To be a fan of Boca makes me so happy. Hallelujah to every one of you.